All right, welcome to Horton and Shamis on the record. We're getting this show kicked off just right. How you doing, Horton?
I'm doing good.
All right, so we've thought a lot of this. We put a lot of thought and effort into this, and reached out to everybody, and kind of unanimously, I think everybody wanted us to do a Horton and Shamis show, right?
I wouldn't say unanimously, but here we are.
Here we are. So I want to give a shout out to the Porch Caucus Network. Thank you, Representative Sessions and Representative Guffey, for bringing y'all under y'all's umbrella of the Porch Caucus Network. Just want to get started with this podcast and talk a little bit about some things. But in the beginning of this podcast, what we really want to do is give a shout out to a veteran. I'm a veteran. I spent 23 years in the Air Force. So I want to give out a shout out to Dave Sawyer. He was in the C-130 squadron, worked on C-130s as a crew chief. So we just want to give a shout out to him. He lives over in 29322 in Campobello zip code. So just appreciate him. He's always supported me, and just appreciate everything he's done for our country. Moving on. Let's see. What are y'all doing?
What are y'all doing?
Yeah, really. What are y'all doing?
Yeah. I think this is going to be fun. You know, the whole reason we wanted to start this was to, really bring a different perspective to this area when it comes to politics. I'm tired of the archaic method of politics where, they come to you and they pander to you every 2 years or every 4 years.
You mean somebody to actually get something done?
And the archaic method of pandering to me every 2 years or 4 years. And I do appreciate our elected officials that are actually active on Facebook, that are educating people. Now, I might not agree with the posts they make, but I've said it 1,000 times. At least they're out there.
Fair enough.
Engaging with the people, and so I do have respect for that.
So you have a little bit of background with politics and been around politics. Tell us a little bit about. Let's tell us about Horton. Let's talk about Horton.
Well, I don't really have that much of a background. I mean, my father does.
Gotcha.
I have to live in that shadow of my father. I think he was.
But you ran for county council.
Well, yes, but
you ran for county council.
I ran. I got beat pretty badly.
So but back up before you even ran. Like, where are you from?
I'm from Bowling Springs originally.
Tell the two listeners where you're from.
The two listeners. I don't even know. My wife's probably not even.
No, mine's not. Mine definitely shut it off.
Yeah, she's not going to listen. But yeah, originally, so I was, born and raised here in Spartanburg, went to Bowling Springs High School, and then went to USC Upstate.
Nice.
I graduated there in 2000.
You actually graduated?
I graduated. Somehow the diploma's on the wall.
Got it.
I still don't know how. I still have those nightmares, where you wake up and you're going.
Did you really graduate?
No, you're going, oh no, I'm late for class.
Got it.
So
or you're in class naked.
No, I've never had that. But that would be a nightmare for everybody else. But
I think everybody's that, but anyway. I do.
Well, sure. But, so I graduated in 2009 and then went in and started working with my family business. My grandfather, who's 85, and he started the business in 1968.
So you're a businessman.
I don't know about that.
There you go. All right.
I don't know what businessman means, but my grandfather still comes in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then my dad's there.
Nice.
And so I've been there. July will be my 15th year in the business, and we do financial planning and life insurance and stuff like that. Hey. Everybody's been making fun of me with the property and casualty insurance right now, and
it's not so good right now.
We don't do property and casualty. We don't do any kind of homeowners or car. So I tell everybody I don't even sell that kind of insurance. So
so this led you to where you are today, and you're pretty plugged into politics, obviously. I mean, I met you running for county council.
That's I mean, everybody says, how long have you known Jason? And I said, really, two and a half June of 22 maybe? Yep. A little before June of 22, obviously.
Yeah.
But no, I would say I'm kind of plugged in. I'm more worried about, more concerned with local
Gotcha.
and state. I mean, obviously, everybody follows federal,
Right. Sure.
but I have two small children, one in 8 years old and one in 2. So one is 2 years old. So
let's set the record on, because we're on the record.
We're on the record.
We're on the record. All right. So let's set the record straight. So are you a rhino? Are you a Democrat? Are you a Republican?
Well, you've got us down here in this basement. In this swampy.
We got a tagline coming.
Swampy,
Oh boy.
Rhino, dark money, Nancy Pelosi style pork project basement. And
listen, if this is a pork project, boy, they ain't spending a lot of money on this.
If this is a pork project, then they have done their job cutting down on the pork.
Doge must have hit this, right?
This is pork rinds.
Doge hit this before Doge was
cool.
I
know. Why didn't we do this last year? We'd have had some money. Yeah, this is pork rind projects. But
I don't think I take any money from the Biden administration. I'm sorry.
Well,
but anyway, sorry, we're off on the tangent. Let's get back to why you got to politics.
But so, yeah, obviously, I consider myself to be more of a common sense conservative. I don't pretend to go around and tout freedom. I found that most of the time the ones that are pandering the term freedom are usually the ones against it the most. And so
you're basically saying that don't tell me what you're going to do, just do it.
I'm more worried about results than I am anything else, really.
For the two listeners.
For the two listeners, which they probably have logged off by now. But so just want to show people of this, of this area, especially of the district, that I live in, that my children are going to be educated in. I want to just show them what proper representation could look like.
Gotcha.
But
obviously you care about the community.
So I mean, I'm kind of worried about the future for my children. I'm in the investments, and if you look at everything that's going on, we could be in for a pretty tumultuous next 6 to 8 months. The housing market, you could probably speak on that. Could be in some trouble.
Yeah. A little background on me. I think we talked about you enough. You need to put you in the corner for a little while. Sit in the corner.
That'd be good for views. That'd be good for views at this point.
So I'm originally from Charleston, South Carolina. That's where I grew up, born, raised. I grew up without a whole lot. Didn't have a whole lot. My dad was a civil service employee. He owned his own carpentry company, very small owner-operator. So I watched him pay cash for everything. Like, he didn't buy nothing unless he had the cash to pay for it. So I watched that. He was much older father. He passed away when I was 12, and he was 60. So that'd make him 96 years old today.
Okay.
So it's like being raised by your great grandfather, something like that. Anyway. So
yeah, it's kind of right in between, but that would be old for your grandfather.
Yeah. So I got a lot of. He was born in 1929. So that. But anyway, I born and raised in Charleston, South Carolina. I actually moved up to Duncan, South Carolina, in 1996, and I graduated from Burns High, and where my sister was a teacher for 28 years. So right out of high school, of course, I'm 18. I don't know what I want to do. I figured I'd join the military because I have no idea. You figured out how to get to college. I didn't have a clue. So my college was Air Force. So I spent 7 years active duty in the Air Force, and then in 2000 I got out. Went into the reserves, was activated after 9/11, and stayed until 2019. So a total of 23 years in the Air Force. And in between that time when I was in the reserves, I started a company. So I'm a business owner now, and it gives me the opportunity to do things like go down to the Statehouse the other day. I can cruise down to the Statehouse and see what's going on, and continue to build some relationships down there. But yeah, I didn't really intend to get into politics.
Hey, y'all owe me $30 for gas money plus $10 for parking. Well, that's $40.
We didn't have any agreement before we left to go to the Statehouse.
Don't be wasting money.
But anyway, I got
$40.
I got involved with politics because I got tired of paying high taxes in the town of Campobello. I didn't I really know anything about politics. I never really followed it very closely. Always been a pretty strong conservative Republican. I would say like a Reagan, common sense Republican. I like George W. Bush, but I don't know. I didn't like Dick Cheney. Something about Battle of Britain. It didn't. I don't know. Anyway,
It wasn't a good shot.
so I ended up running for town council of Campobello and got into the town council and kept my mouth shut and learned a little bit about politics. And then mayor at the time decided not to run again, so I ran for mayor and I've been the mayor ever since. I think this will be my 4th year as mayor, so it's been good. I've enjoyed it. I've learned a ton. Of course, there's still more to learn. It's been really good being the mayor of Campobello. And like I said, like you, I have kids. I have his, hers, and our kids, all the way down from 19 down to 6-year-old. So I care about the country's future. I definitely care about our county's future. I think, like you, local politics is extremely important. And I want to make sure that we're having a conservative county, and it's run conservatively. So,
Well, I feel like that's the problem, is that most people that are even plugged in or somewhat educated on the federal level, they don't have that same passion about local politics, where this stuff might affect them even more.
Yeah,
than they even realize.
Oh, for sure. Definitely local. You see it, and that's what I like about.
And
local.
that was me until I ran.
Oh, that's what I like about local politics is you versus maybe state level. You can see results quickly at your local political level. Your county, your town, your city. You can really see it pretty quickly. But yeah, that's what I love local politics. I think it's something I never thought I would love. But hey, here I am.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
So moving on, a little bit about us. So moving on to we had a trip down to the Statehouse. How do you think that went? Hey, what are y'all doing here? What are you doing?
I think it went well. I have obviously been down there, but never been in the chamber. And
I thought it was humbling. It was very humbling to be there.
It definitely gives me a different appreciation, maybe a different respect for what those representatives are doing, whether I agree with them or not. We can probably find some common ground somewhere, but when you have to sit there and vote on this amendment, table this amendment,
it's a chess game, right? You see a lot of chess games, especially by the Democrats. They were playing a little chess game.
Well, so
not that they were going to get anywhere, but
if you want to get into the hot topic that day, obviously, was school choice.
Sure, yeah,
and
which it's important. It's important. I think school choice is important. I think our public schools are very important, and yeah.
Well, I'm a champion for public education.
Sure.
I went to a public high school, graduated from a public university, and I'm going to send my children through.
So I mentioned
school.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier my dad, right? He would be 95 years old today, right? That's the one thing he said when I was growing up. I remember this. I was like 8 years old. He said, "I will always have my kids in public education, and here's the reason why. It's not about the education. Yes, you want to get a good education and those types of things. It's about relationships. And what else is it about?
Well, people skills.
People skills.
People skills for me would be...
And dealing with people from all walks of life.
You've got...
That is what's real. To me, being in the Air Force, I talked to... there was walks of life from all over the United States. It was... You have to work with them. You have a common mission, right? We got to get the C-17 off the deck, and it's got to go to Germany to fly a mission to Kuwait or wherever. So who cares? We got to get this done. So that public education, it was important to have that.
I feel the same way. And no matter how you want to educate your children, that's none of my business.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
You do what you need to do. But, I want my children to go through public education, and so I'm going to do what I can to fight for that. I know school choice is pretty not controversial, but you understand what
Everybody's
I'm saying.
got an opinion.
So it seems to be somewhat split down the middle.
Yeah.
Even
there was good arguments while we were there. I think.
Even from I don't think it was split down the middle on the Democrat side. I think it was more split down the middle on the Republican side. But each party had their issues on why, and I think all of the issues were valid.
So you're sitting up there in this balcony, right?
So I'm sitting up there in the balcony.
Who introduced that? Who was that?
So that was Representative Brandon Guffey.
I love that guy.
Us.
He is. I'm telling you, that guy. If y'all don't know who Brandon Guffey is, you need to go back and do some research on him. That guy is on a mission. So he is big on child safety and sextortion and bringing that to the forefront. And what happened several weeks ago, a guy got extradited.
He had
to Colombia.
A guy extradited from somewhere. I don't remember where, but yeah, somehow he helped
Uganda or something. I can't remember.
Get the scammer predator extradited back, and that
took him 2 years. Now I'm thinking to myself, right? Like, this guy is taking 2 years of his life. Like, he's in DC, he's all over the place. He's taken 2 years of his life to fight for that. That's who I want in the Statehouse. You may not agree with everything he says.
I tell him I don't agree with everything Brandon Guffey says. I don't know anybody that does.
Yeah.
But the thing I respect the most about Brandon Guffey is he is the realest one down there. He's the realest one in the chamber. He doesn't care who you are, what room he's in. He's going to tell you exactly what he thinks. And I respect that more than you lied to me.
So it was. I mean, that was an honor to be introduced.
I would rather hang out with a rough around the edges center than a well-polished hypocrite.
That feels like I've heard that before. Who said that?
Let me say it again. I would rather hang out with a rough around the edges center than a well-polished hypocrite. I might not agree with everything they do. They might not agree with everything I do. But at least they're being honest to you.
Yeah.
So that's what
you have some people that'll tell you just how it is. Just talk straight to you. This is what I think. I don't have to wonder about where they stand with me. They tell me straight up. You were wrong. You're right.
I mean,
hey, I
agree with him or not.
So it was an honor to be introduced by him, and I thought it was neat.
I did ask. They do not get paid hourly.
Oh, they don't get paid hourly?
They don't get paid hourly.
So you're talking about Statehouse
of
Representatives don't get paid hourly.
They don't get paid hourly. So really, we got there about 9:45, and they really did not get into debating or voting until 11:15 or so.
11:30, yeah.
And it was a big day because of school choice. So you had one group after the next. This high school band, this swim team.
Yeah, it was great though.
Over and over. The different reps are coming up and introducing everybody. And it was literally an hour and 15 minutes. But I was worried about the taxpayer. Are we paying?
Why are you worried about the taxpayer?
I was worried the taxpayer.
For the two listeners out there, why would you be worried about the taxpayer?
Was paying for all this, and I found out they don't get paid hourly.
So you know what? I'll tell you somebody else that doesn't get paid hourly. The mayor. Matter of fact,
really?
I've been giving my salary away every month.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad.
I'm doing it for free.
I'm glad I asked that. That thought never would have even crossed my mind.
You know what though? Here, and I
can't even imagine.
And we joke about these things like I'm saying I'm doing it for free. I don't care. Like
$85 a month.
I do it because I love it. I love representing my community. I love helping people. It doesn't matter what it pays or doesn't. I, first of all, decided to do it. I signed up to say I want to do this, and I love it. Like the reward I get out of solving problems, like say for Helene, during Helene, I ran for Statehouse, and I had a lot of connections, and I used those connections, even though I didn't win. I still have those relationships.
Absolutely.
And I used that to help our town. And that, to me, that was, I love it. I mean, there's no amount of money that you could pay me for that feeling. It is a great feeling to be able to help your community. And I feel that way with the people at the Statehouse. I'm sure there's some bad actors out there. There always is in politics. You saw that in the North Charleston. I think North Charleston City had some issues recently. Yeah.
Lexington.
Yeah. I mean,
the representative.
But that's not, I don't think that's indicative of what you see throughout the state. I think things get painted with a broad brush, So that's why I kind of took that away from the Statehouse, got to talk to a lot of different representatives.
So, we're up in the cheap seats, and I can't tell you how many people sat beside me. I mean, if one group would get introduced, they'd get up, move.
It was
them.
packed. We maybe 100 seats up there. Maybe?
I don't know the number of seats, but I can tell you that we stayed in our seat the longest. And it's funny, you can't tell the sergeant of arms who to sit beside you. They just kind of tell you.
Oh yeah. But actually, the sergeant of arms was like,
"What are y'all
doing sitting here?"
We got in trouble multiple times for moving. The sergeant of arms did not like that, so it was kind of. So yeah, so it was nice to be recognized, and it was a great experience. I've never been on the floor. I mean, never been in the chamber or anything like that. Yeah. But I will say, I do have a greater appreciation for everybody that was down there. All right. Yeah. Now, everybody knows me. I'm pretty divisive. Again, you're going to.
We call that colorful.
Well, you know what? You're going to know where you stand with me.
Yeah.
And you might not like everything I say, but at least going back to Guffey, the room I'm in, the group of people I'm talking to is not going to dictate the answer I give to the questions they ask.
Right.
And so, but I will say that I do have greater appreciation for everybody down there.
Then we got to film on the back porch.
Then we got to go out on the porch there. Yeah. It's open to the public. We didn't pull any.
We didn't pull any strings.
We didn't pull any strings to go out the door.
Like we had some strings, right?
People were coming in and out as we were filming. And then they were on a recess. It was a lunch break.
A recess. We'll talk about that later.
So
we'll talk about recess later.
We'll get to recess later. But yeah, so we did it on the break. We'll say that
on the cheap. I thought you were going to say on the cheap.
So we did it while they were breaking from lunch, which was after 3:00. I don't know what time it was. I mean, we sat there from 9:45.
Yeah, I saw some I think they DoorDashed some food in or something.
They must have. They didn't for us.
Yeah, there's no DoorDashing for us.
They didn't for us.
We could have left though. I mean,
we could have gotten up and left, but I
was sitting there thinking like on this. You're at the top and you're looking down at all these legislators, and I'm just thinking, what was this like 100 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, 100 years ago, they don't have the button you press.
Yeah.
You don't have
it's an electronic button.
I know.
Does that mean it's rigged?
It could be.
Is that rigged election?
We got to bring those hanging chads back. Make sure our reps are voting correctly. But yeah, I mean,
I think they got to put a card in too. Like they got to put a card in. Card. They put it in and they hit a button and it either turns green or red.
I don't know.
Whose card did they put in?
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
I mean,
you could go down a rabbit hole.
You can get your information stolen pretty quickly. But yeah, I did enjoy that. But yeah, that's a good point you brought up. That what would that have been like 100 years ago?
No heat, no air conditioning.
I would imagine that
no lights.
It was probably just miserable. And Columbia already smells like a urinal anyway, so I could imagine what it smelled like.
And we walked in, you were like, what's that smell? I'm like, we're in Columbia.
I'm like, I can only imagine what it smelled like.
Maybe that's where the term the swamp came from.
I can't argue that. That place did smell like a swamp. We're right in the middle of a city.
Cesspool?
But a cesspool something. Well, here's the narrative that's not getting spun. You're getting one narrative spun around in this area, and that's that we're this purplish state. And there's valid points to that argument.
I think we even talked about this kind of before we started this podcast, like back in the day, in the early, I think 94.
It was Reagan. It was Reagan. I
mean, I think even South Carolina was Democrat then. I mean,
everybody voted for Jimmy Carter here because he was the Georgia boy. He was right down the street. Yeah. So it was really, Reagan before the state really started to shift. But that's a good point. I wanted to talk about this at some point. So if I remember correctly, 2022 was the second largest freshman class for the House of Representatives.
That's two.
That was last cycle.
Yeah.
So you have one of the largest, and probably really the largest, freshman class of House of Representatives. And I believe maybe 27 new seats. And I believe this year they've got 21 new seats. So you're talking about a heavy turnover in the House of Representatives in a short amount of time.
So that's why you're seeing maybe South Carolina's moving more to the right.
Well, so the Senate just had their largest or second largest freshman class just now. I believe with 13 seats.
Okay.
So, but nobody is going to tell you that. Nobody is going to report that in the last 2 cycles, we have seen a lot of turnover in the General Assembly. And you've, of course, they get painted bad by this group and this group.
We mean that group and this group.
This group and that group.
What's that group and this group? We'll get to that later.
You can figure that out yourself. And so obviously Merle, being the speaker, he's going to get lumped into that.
Well, I mean, I think he catches everything.
Well, of course he is, and he signed up.
He should. I mean,
he signed up for the role.
He signed up.
But look at
just like I did.
But look at the legislation that they've passed last year, and look at the legislation they're introducing and discussing right now. I mean, school choice is great.
You think school choice would have passed in '94?
No. And I'm not saying that school choice is great, but what I'm saying is that it's even being introduced, that it's being voted on, that it's being discussed is what's great. Mm-hmm. Whether you're for it or against it, it is indicating a more conservative shift for South Carolina, and it's following Trump's America First agenda.
Yeah. So moving on, so we don't drag this out forever for our 2 listeners. We might go to 1 listener if we go on too long. So we've been following the House. We want to talk about House bills and what's going on at the State House, but we also want to talk about local. So let's move on. There was an online safety bill that was kind of controversial, pretty controversial.
I don't think it was controversial.
Well, the Freedom Party.
I think it
was very controversial with them.
Controversial.
So it was a H3431 was the online safety bill for kids, right? So what is your Horton? What's the Horton in the corner perspective on that?
I mean, I'm for any common sense legislation that could help keep our children safe. Yes, it's my job to keep my children safe online, but why do we have police? Why do we have stop signs?
I remember when I was a kid.
Why do we have any laws?
I remember when I was a kid, I did some things my parents never knew about. Did you ever do that?
No. I did not.
Oops, I'm on the record.
Oops.
Mom, you can't.
No,
Mom, just skip on past this, Mom.
But yes, so I'm drawing on my experiences as to why I'm so passionate about keeping my kids online. We didn't have everything that they have now when we were.
True.
I mean,
but you still did some things that they didn't know about, right?
Well, absolutely. But we had AOL Instant Messenger. That's how I met my wife. She will tell you that to this day.
I don't know that story.
I messaged her on AOL Instant Messenger in 2004. And so, so we didn't
That was back when the AOL was a little guy, and he's running across the screen.
I'd get kicked off if the phone rang. The phone rang, I couldn't get on Instant Messenger. But yeah, we'd stay out all day. My parents didn't have a clue where I was or what I was doing. We'd be, if anybody knows,
you didn't have to worry about CSAM and all that other stuff that's going on out, right?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, didn't have to worry about the van pulling up and picking you up either.
Mm.
But you can't do that stuff nowadays. So yeah, it is the parents' responsibility. But you look at mugshots, and there's a lot of people's kids on mugshots.
I don't know who did this. I don't know if it automatically just pops up on my Facebook. But is it Spartanburg County Mugshot? Who runs that page anyway?
I don't know.
I get stuff all the time.
There's a lot of people's kids on Spartanburg County Mugshots. So,
and I look at I look at those people on those mugshots, and they're in a bad situation, obviously. And you look at them, and they're like, those people, maybe if they had some Jesus in their life, or they made a bad decision. I mean, you made a bad decision.
Well, everybody deserves
you can still be a Christian,
but
and they could have. And maybe they just made a bad decision, but they look like these people could be really good people. They're not what you think they would be. Maybe in a mugshot, but I don't know who started the Spartanburg County Mugshots. I think
they had it a while back. Then the county got rid of it. I don't know if they got sued, but then somebody's brought it back. But anyways, you can't control your children. You can't be with them all the time. So, really the pork of the bill was that, anybody under the age of 18 had to have parental consent or put in.
Oh, you're infringing on my parental rights, Mr. Horton.
You got to have parental consent for your child to set up a social media account. So yeah, I was memed. So I was memed because me as a civilian, I'm not an elected official. I was memed. I was called a deadbeat dad. The next day after I was called a deadbeat father, my son had his terrific kid ceremony.
Oh, good.
I
think I was at one of your terrific kid ceremonies last year, right?
3 in a row.
3 in a row.
Every year he's been at Campobello Grambling, he's been a terrific kid. So that was the day. That next morning, I went to my son's 3rd straight terrific kid. Every year he's been in public schools, he's been a terrific kid.
He's part of the solution, right?
He's part of the problem. But he doesn't have any social media accounts, but he's 8. But I would imagine by the time he's 10, 12, he's going to want a YouTube channel or want to do something like that. And I can beat him over the head and tell him, do not engage with anybody online. But as soon as you do that, he's going to engage with somebody online. So yes,
your kid's not supposed to have a cell phone, Mr. Horton.
That's fine. They don't have a cell phone.
You're not supposed to ever give them one.
You can't. I know.
I mean, come on.
But my kids don't.
I don't agree with giving my kids something, but it's what happens. Like I was against it when our oldest was get to the age where they could have a cell phone, and all their friends had cell phones, and so she came to us. She said, "I want a cell phone." And she ended up with a cell phone, not our choice, but she ended up with one. So,
well, unfortunately, this isn't 20 years ago,
yeah.
And so, I just I don't.
So I call that common sense, right? Common sense.
I don't understand why it turned out to be.
Well, they said they were going to give you your social and your ID, and all kind of stuff.
Yeah, so
that wasn't in the bill, and then something about ALA, right?
I don't even know what that
librarians
is.
ALA
English as a second language.
But that wasn't in the bill either, so I don't know. I just thought it was common sense legislation.
Well, I would imagine that,
especially if you watch. I know we're talking about Representative Guffey a little bit, but if you look at what he's trying to do, and he goes to D.C. like all the time, trying to fight for the sextortion stuff. But if you look at what he's been through and what the other stories of people he's telling,
it's
definitely a need in the state. And thank goodness we have common sense Republicans in the House, and they passed it. So,
well, no matter what side of the bill you're on, I just don't want to look back and not be on the side that voted to protect children.
But the House voted unanimously, except for one last year.
Yeah, so that's the big thing is that last year everybody voted. I think it was 47. I can't remember the bill number, but last year pretty much everybody voted for the bill, and then they introduced it this year.
One Democrat voted against it last year.
Democrat voted against it last year. This year there were more votes against it, and
the Freedom Party made a big stink about it, I believe.
Yeah, they did. I can only imagine why. But yeah, so if you think that's in creating big government to keep our children safe online, then we're not going to agree.
That's as a conservative
core function of government. I would love to have that defined.
Personal liberties.
Which core functions of government.
All those things, obviously.
I want to reduce government as much as I can.
Who gets to decide? Who gets to decide how big or small government is? Like, as a conservative Republican, give me the measuring stick of where big government and small government is. Where's that measuring stick?
Well, it's
only core function of governments, and then who decides what a core function of government is? Who gets to make that determination?
I think the only real core function of government is fraud, waste, and abuse.
Expand on that a little bit. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, everything we've seen over the last few months with DOGE
sure.
has introduced to us just how inefficiently our government's been run. Now, that might not be that big of a scale here in South Carolina like it obviously is federally, especially over the last 4 years federally. So I don't really take up that much issue here in Spartanburg and South Carolina, although I'm sure there are issues like that. But to me, the only core function of government is fraud, waste, and abuse. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. If I'm going to pay my taxes, then I want to see some results somewhere. And
so when you drive down the road, you don't see good results, huh?
Not in our district.
Yeah.
No, I don't. But define core functions of government. Define growing.
Yeah,
government.
I'd like to know where that measuring stick is, because it seems to ever be changing. Which again, I'm for small government, and I like for the government to get out of the people's business. I think that's. If you get out of the people's business, I think you'll see the economy do great, which is what the Trump agenda is doing. I mean, that's why they're taking a chainsaw to all everything they're taking a chainsaw to. Like or dislike Elon Musk. I mean, the results are kind of...
Well, everybody's claiming that, not everybody. 47% of the country's complaining that Elon Musk wasn't he's not elected.
I don't care if he's elected.
I don't remember voting for Fauci. I don't remember voting for Bill Gates. I don't remember voting for Greta, the little 13-year-old girl.
Good point.
Telling me about climate change. Again, you've got Soros. He's in the news every day. So we didn't vote for any of those people. But now you've got the richest man in the world, and he's literally catching rockets with chopsticks. I mean,
pretty smart guy.
Things are going up 5,000 miles an hour, and he's catching them with chopsticks. So they're just mad because they're losing all their funding. But to finish your point, the yardstick. What is the yardstick?
What is it?
It's the Constitution. Whether you look at whichever Constitution you want to go by.
We mean whatever. There's only one.
No. You look at the state Constitution.
Well, there's the state Constitution.
So
right? Yep.
Whichever Constitution you want to look at, that's the yardstick for exactly what government should be doing. But
you don't hear folks like, I would say, the Freedom Party. If you want smaller government and you want those things, why don't you throw out there exactly, don't just say the Constitution. Let's just throw out there exactly what you mean. Like, I see things out there on social media that say, I don't like this bill because it infringes on your parental rights, or it infringes on your whatever the tagline is. Well, show me why. Like, just don't say. I'm the kind of guy that I'm not going to just follow you blindly. I'm going to dig in. And I wouldn't even say that I've never been really a political person until, like I said, I ran for town council in Campobello, but I've never really been real political. I would call that what some folks again say low propensity voter. I don't like that term, but yeah, I mean, tell me what the Constitution exactly says of why you think X, Y, Z.
Well, I mean, and you can go back to the school vouchers. Whether they vote for it and pass it or not, it could be deemed unconstitutional because you're giving public funds. And I know there was some debate on that, and a lot of people said, well, I went ahead and voted yes for it, but it could get shot down because it could be considered unconstitutional.
We'll see. We'll follow that bill.
So, yeah.
That bill, and then also follow the next bill. I mean, we don't want to go bill by bill. We want to have some fun on the show, obviously, but we also want to inform voters of what's going on at the Statehouse. Maybe you're not paying attention. There is an app that you can log into and watch what's going on at the House.
You can watch it live.
Yeah,
they post the voting boards. You can go
watch
read
committees.
bills.
I think that's pretty good transparency. You can go in there and watch the committee debate stuff.
You can look at they record all the committee meetings.
Yeah,
you can watch the floor live. They show the voting boards.
However much you want to get involved, you can get plugged in. So let's go to a bill that I personally had an issue with, and we dug into a little bit. It's we call it the recess bill. It's the H 3195. What is your take on that, Horton, since you're in the corner?
Well, I mean...
You're doing pretty good over there in the corner.
Essentially, all it did was mandate some recess requirements for what... I think it only went up from like K4 to 8th grade. And
I remember doing a recess forever. when I was in like elementary school, like they just put you out there and let you go play.
Well,
I actually broke my wrist playing out there. Like, go play. Well, you
Well-
broke your wrist. Go out there and play.
well, recess is just as much for the teacher as it is the kid.
Oh yeah, they need a
couldn't
middle
imagine.
break. Oh, they
I
need
could
a
never
middle
be a
break.
teacher. Nobody would hire me anyways.
No, I wouldn't want you to be my teacher.
No, I shouldn't. But basically all it said was that, it was a really short bill. Now, I don't expect...
How short?
It might have been 3 to 5.
We're gonna pull the yardstick out again, like the Constitution.
You don't need a yardstick for this one. You could do that with a ruler.
All right.
But
okay.
it was a pretty short bill.
8.5 by 11.
Yeah, it was a pretty short bill, but all it really did was it mandated that, recess, that the kids have to have at least 90 minutes weekly.
No, daily.
No,
Say that for the 2 listeners we have.
90 minutes weekly.
Week.
I don't think anybody would expect our children to have.
How did
90
you know?
minutes
How did
daily.
you back up, Horton? Hang on. How did you know that it was 90 minutes weekly?
Oh, I read it.
Oh,
I
don't say.
Well, and I don't expect.
Oh man.
I don't expect all of my House reps, Senate, County Council. I don't expect them to read every bit of every bill. These are part-time. These are part-time.
Well, it's not even that, right?
Representatives.
They're bills that are like.
Yes.
You think the president of the United States, does he read every?
Oh,
bill?
absolutely not. Joe Biden proved that.
Oh, there you go. There's that.
But
That's a wormhole.
This was a very short bill and was in vernacular that
Kind
I
of like
would
recess short.
It was a pretty short bill, and it was in vernacular that we use daily.
What are
And-
y'all doing?
What are y'all doing? But this was so all it did was say they get mandated 90 minutes weekly. If there's 3 or more days of inclement weather, then the school has to make an effort to simulate outside. So I don't know if that would be letting them loose in the gym or something, but I don't know. I don't understand this. 3 people voted no out of the.
You don't say.
3 people voted no against it because
3 people voted no against recess.
because we want to. It was explained to me that we want to keep the government out of our school. And
For recess.
For recess. And so 90 divided by 5 is 18. They already
18
get
what? What does
minutes,
that mean?
18 minutes.
18 minutes.
And they already.
Let's break it down for the 2 listeners. So we got 90 minutes a week, right? And that's 18 minutes for 5 days each day. 18
Yes.
minutes each.
And they already
day.
get 20 minutes.
And they
So
already get 20 minutes.
It
currently.
didn't really even affect our school districts.
So you could have voted yes, and it would have changed 0, except for the rest of the state, I guess. But
I'm sure there's other parts.
But even if you voted
districts.
no, there's only 3, so the Republicans that are common sense Republicans voted for it. Obviously, the recess bill for, like I said, I got an hour of recess when I was a kid, and this was like 1988. Okay,
Yeah.
and they got 18 minutes. I would put a bill in for an hour, but I'm just anyway. That's just a joke. But
I don't know.
how would you vote against this bill?
How?
Why and how?
Why?
I guess how you put, but
How? I put my card in and hit the red button and then
don't put the wrong person's. It's
and then-
electronic.
hope that my vote didn't get intercepted by the Russians. So no, that would be how I would do it. Why I would vote against it?
You all, I don't know how y'all pray for me.
I don't know why I would vote against
The Russians,
mandatory
you say.
recess mandates.
Hey, I just want to say, all right, stop China from buying all our
They're
farmland.
buying up all our farmland, man.
I'm just saying.
What we're gonna do
I
about
don't know what we're going to do about that. But speaking of Russians, we
Pork.
might as well talk about China.
it?
So the recess bill back.
yeah.
Sorry.
So, anyways, that's one you need to look up. That's H3195, and you can go back and you can just get on Google and type in SC and then H3195, and
Read
you
it.
can read it. It's a short
2
read.
minutes.
It sounds like something I would have drafted. It's that simple. It's that easy. The online safety bill was H3431. And so H3431, H3195. So go check those out.
For you, want
They even have it where you can read the summary.
I don't read summaries because I don't trust the summary for sure. I want to read the bill.
Well, I would rather read the summary than not read the bill, vote incorrectly, and then blame
But if I'm going to
someone
vote on something, I'm going to read it. Like,
I
That's
agree,
me.
but I don't but at least read the summary. That's like the Cliff Notes. Yeah. You're not going to pass the test if you only read the Cliff Notes, but it won't destroy your grade. You'll still make a 60. So read the Cliff Notes and bring your 70 down to a 68.
You can Google it now and pass it anyway.
But so that's all I've got. I don't have anything else to say about the recess bill.
That's kind of a brain stumper.
There was three people that voted against it.
Three people in the whole house.
The whole house. You can go do your own research. You can go find out who did it. You can go ask them why. I'd love to know why. It was told to me that they don't want the government in our schools. Okay, so that's enough about that. So the next bill is H3510.
Yeah, so
I'll let you take this.
Yeah, I'm 23 years in the Air Force. I'm a veteran. I just really appreciate Representative Cox for standing up for veterans. He's a veteran. His whole family's a veteran. I'm a veteran. My stepfather was a veteran. My biological dad was in the Army. He's a veteran. My sister's a veteran. My brother was in the Coast Guard. He's a veteran. I mean, we have a large amount of folks in our family lineage that had been in the military. So there was an amendment put up for, this is H3510, veteran service officer. They don't have them currently in some counties. Some counties are paying for them on their own. So this amendment would allow not one, as Representative Cox said, not one, not zero, but 2 VSOs for every county in the state of South Carolina. Man, somebody is taking care of our veterans. Who asked for these? Veteran Services did. The counties did. It's going to be paid by the state now.
That sounds like you're growing government, though. Is it okay?
Is that a core function of government, taking care of your veterans?
I would say yes, but I just think that
we'll have a brawl right here if you think it's not.
It sounds like you're spending a lot of money to me.
Our veterans, you don't know what people in the military do for this country.
I was being facetious.
Yeah, but I take this very serious because this is extremely near and dear to my heart. So when Brandon Cox stood up and said, this is what we're doing, and then who put up an amendment for not 1, not 2, not 0? They want all of a sudden 3 on the House floor. They put up an amendment. The Freedom Party, Thomas Beach, I'm going to call him out because he's a veteran. He's a veteran, and he's going to try to blow this bill up for our veterans.
Former Army Ranger, right?
That's what I'm told.
Former Army Ranger. Okay.
What do you know about Army Rangers?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Army Rangers. I just know how to do FOIA requests. Continue.
So anyway, so to me, first of all, they asked for 2. They didn't ask for 3. If they wanted 3, they would have asked for 3. They asked for 2. So if you think as a veteran and you're in the House of Representatives and you think they need 3, why didn't you bring it up in committee? Why didn't you do it then? Oh, and you can say you did, but I know different. You did not. Why would you try to blow the bill up? So that makes my blood absolutely boil. Boil. You're a veteran and you're trying to blow this bill up. They're paying at the state level for 2. As Representative Cox said, not 1, not 0, 2. And he said they hijacked it. They're trying to hijack the bill.
It's almost like some people will introduce these gotcha amendments just for the political theater, correct?
Yeah, so, I mean, and I'm sure...
Because it's a gotcha amendment.
Sure, I'm sure if you talk to Representative Beach, he would say, I wasn't trying to blow it up, and I'm not trying to get political points, but, it's sure hard for me to believe that when you bring it up the way you did. Thank you, Representative Cox, for having conservative leadership, common sense, and getting the rest of the Republicans, because why? You probably have a relationship with them and you stood up for the veterans. Thank you very much. As a veteran to another veteran, thank you for standing up for veterans in the state of South Carolina and not letting them hijack this amendment. What the heck? Oh, it makes me so mad. If you've never been in the military,
I've never have.
And I think, well, I won't go there. Anyway, it's frustrating to say the least. I don't know if it's frustrating.
It would it would make me mad if you shot down an amendment to take care of my fellow scratch golfers. That's as much as I would be upset about that. But yeah, it's all political theater.
Yeah, I don't appreciate it at all. Hey, you know what? And if Representative Beach was standing right here, I'd have the same conversation with him. I don't care. I'm going to be at the Statehouse more this year. I'm sure I'll go down there and continue relationships for the town of Campobello and to be able to help our town. But I mean, hey, Representative Beach, if you want to have a conversation with me, I'm happy to. Hey, bring it on. I'll be very respectful and I'll listen to you like I do just everybody else that maybe doesn't agree with what I say. But man, that burns me up, and I'm sure like our veteran.
I got some aloe for you.
Well, I'm sure the veteran that we highlighted today, Dave Sawyer, I'm sure he wouldn't appreciate it either. And he's a no nonsense kind of guy. He probably anyway. But yeah, that's my spill on H3510 with VSOs. Thank you, the Republican caucus, for taking care of veterans.
That's why I turned it over to you.
All right, so we want to talk.
Put you in the corner now.
Yeah, well.
Well,
you served this country for 23 years, and you see, like, I was in Germany. I was watching these people during Iraqi freedom. I was watching these troops come back in C-17s in caskets, okay? Caskets. With the flag draped over it. I'd go onto the airplane, and they'd be there.
Was Biden there checking his watch?
No. He
Remember when he was standing there checking the watch as they were rolling them out?
So that stuff burns me up. I may have not been I'm not a combat veteran, but I've watched people come back that were in combat, and it just burns me up.
Well, as somebody that like me that never served, I don't care what capacity you served.
You say you were a cook. You were a cook.
I don't care if you were a cook. I don't care. You served, and that's important.
Well, one of the core. I
would say that a core function of government is protecting the constituents, whether that be children online, or that be the veterans in combat, or that be the veterans once they come back. I don't see protecting the citizens, the constituents, as growing government. That's a core function to me.
So one of the core values in the Air Force is that I love, and I live by it, and I practice that, I'd like to say. And if I don't, somebody call me out. But it's service before self. That is the Air Force, one of the Air Force core values.
Doesn't matter what capacity you're in.
Service before self, period. And that's what those people do that sign up to go in the military. It is service before self. Thank you, Brandon Cox. So anyway, we've talked enough about the Statehouse, I think. But we want to also continue to talk here on the Horton and Shamis show about local politics at the county level. One of those things we recently I got actually tagged in Facebook over an intersection in the 29322 Campobello zip code. Maybe not in the town, but they tagged me, so I don't care if it's in the town. I don't care if it's in wherever. If I can help, that's where I'll go help. But it was the Highway 9 and Melvin Hill intersection in 29322 in the county of Spartanburg. So we and I talked about it a little bit. You were probably on the phone more than I was. I did a lot of texting and that kind of thing. From your perspective, what happened on your end?
Well, I mean, we just got tagged in that group message about, what can we do? And I think you got tagged, and then you brought me into the group message. And
no, I went to somebody that have a relationship with it. I know it can get something done.
That's what I did. Obviously, I'm not an elected official, but I had, I reached out to this person 5 or 6 months ago with the intersection there at 292 in Bishop, and had it reevaluated. Again, as a citizen, it's amazing what happens when you just call and you're nice. And so when you were tagged in this, you brought me in. So I called that same person up and I said, "Hey, remember me?" What brought it on was there was a death there at the intersection.
The girl,
was a 37-year-old mother.
Yeah, it was. And she left some kids behind and a husband.
I think the child might have been thrown out the car as well. But anyways, the property owners there around the intersection, reached out to Jason and said, "We need help. We need help us, please." And we're,
And it was on a Sunday. I jumped on it.
It was on a Sunday. It was Sunday late afternoon. But what really stuck
was heartbreaking.
What really stuck with me is they said, "We're tired of hearing the screams. We're tired of hearing the screams of the people in the crashes, whether they're in pain or they're dying. We're tired of hearing the screams of the loved ones when they pull up. We're tired of our houses shaking. We're tired of being afraid that a log truck is going to come barreling through our living room."
This is the government. Like, this is government you see every day. Like, this is in your face.
I mean, this right here affects you more than anything else,
yeah.
really. And so I reached back out that Monday morning, and the guy there, he's wonderful at the county, and he said, "We're going to look into it." He pulled it up on Google Maps, and he said, "Okay, I see where." He said it appears to be a clear line of sight.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the issue? What's the underlying issue there? And if you go to that intersection, it is a clear line of sight.
And this has been an intersection that's been problems for you.
But I mean, it's been I know it came to light 2 years ago. But what is the issue with that intersection when there is clear lanes of sight? And so he said, "We're going to get on it." He pulled it up and he said, "I see the stop sign really needs to be repositioned." And I said, "Yep, I can see that." So he said, "All right, I've got a ticket. I'm going to pass it along." We called Brandon Guffey, and he made a call to the Greenville Spartanburg area SCDOT.
Contact that he had, yeah.
Because Highway 9 is a state road and Melvin Hill is a county road. And a lot of people don't understand that the county is responsible for county roads and the state is responsible for state roads.
But you know what? As a constituent, and I'm out
but
there
not
hearing
everybody,
if I'm hearing these screams, I don't care whose road it is.
Well, I
Fix
agree.
this thing.
I agree. But there's certain avenues that you have to go through if you want it changed. Now, you can get on Facebook and whine and complain about it, or you can just figure out who can do it and go to them and try to get them to do it. And so we got Guffey kind of working in the back end. Anyways, I talked with a few other people there at the county.
I talked to a guy that's actually over county maintenance too, as well. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's who's going to be the one to go out.
Yeah, that's the boots on the ground.
That's the one that's going to go out to do it. So anyways, I had a call scheduled with the SCDOT, whoever's head of SCDOT for this area, Tuesday. And so I rode up there Monday because I'm not very familiar with that intersection.
How much were you getting paid an hour for that?
Nothing.
No.
And I don't even get gas reimbursement. So I pull up and I pull my phone out. I'm going slow, and I'm recording. And so I come up to the intersection, and I've got the video, and you actually see the truck pulling off. And they had repositioned the stop sign. And one of the property owners there saw me and came up, and I spoke with him for a little while.
Yeah, I talked with him a little bit on he's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. He definitely cares about his community.
He cares.
No doubt.
I mean, he was willing to give up his property for a roundabout.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, but look at the amount of care. I care enough.
But he's like,
hey,
my
land.
You can take my property. I don't care if it's a roundabout, whatever the state, the county needs, we're ready to do it. And I think all of those property owners there would do it today.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But so anyway, so I was talking with him and
Americans, good Americans.
That's right. And so they've repositioned the stop signs. They've got reflective tape on the stop signs. They've got the rumble strips down. And I think
they're still working on the rumble strips actually.
Well, on that front, there's particular temperature and weather conditions that you need, and that it was
for full transparency.
It was 40 degrees and raining that day.
Yeah.
So I haven't really followed up with it. But
I've sent a couple of texts just to kind of see, and they said rumble strips aren't down yet. But that's the other thing when you have an issue, that follow up's important, right?
Yes,
follow up. But out of sight, out of mind. But you don't want that to happen.
But I do know that there are certain weather.
Sure. Yeah.
But anyways.
Gotcha. Sorry.
But
I put you in the corner again, Horton.
Well, that's fine. But within 24 hours, the county was out there. So I mean, I think that's commendable. I mean, within 24 hours, they were out there. They were trying to do something as quickly as they can. They did not have rumble strips in stock. They don't keep that in the shelf. So they had to order it. They had to get the correct conditions to put it down. But the most important thing is that they have opened up a study on that intersection.
And actually, I think they're in the middle of that study right now. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it takes some time.
Actually, no. I actually followed up. Imagine that I followed up, and they are in the middle of the study. So
I knew they were going to do it. I didn't follow up because I'm not getting paid. So that's on you. You're getting paid. You can follow.
I'm actually giving my salary for the month away here lately, but I don't. Yeah, it's fun. Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation.
But yeah, I'm not following up. I'm not getting paid. But yeah, so I mean, not only is the not necessarily a temporary solution, but about as quickly as you can get it fixed, it's getting fixed. And then, there's a study, and once they go by crash per million vehicles. I believe that's what it is. It's been a while since I talked with the engineer about 292 and Bishop, but they actually, by reopening a new study on Bishop and 292, we were able to get it moved up on the list of the county projects because there was just a really bad crash there. So we actually were able to get it bumped up on the list of the road projects from the county. So Hopefully that's what happens with that intersection, and either they put a roundabout in or a red light or make it a four-way stop. I don't think making it a four-way stop would do good because obviously people aren't stopping at the stop sign now.
I think there's a lot of distractions.
So I like the roundabout, even though it's probably maybe the most expensive. So I'm sure I'll get flack for wanting to spend the most money to keep our citizens safe. So
that was not,
on the record. Person wants to put in a roundabout.
It was great to be involved with helping people again. Helping people.
What expense are we willing to spend to save one mother's life?
It's sad.
To help one veteran out, to stop one child from being trafficked.
Yep.
The online safety bill.
Follow the measuring stick.
It really doesn't create a lot. The VSO would have a pretty large fiscal thumbprint, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Putting in a roundabout at Highway 9 and Melvin Hill would probably fall more on the state than it would.
I'd say your perspective, like when you like I was talking about earlier, running for an elected position, when you get in the position like maybe Representative Guffey or the family that lost that woman, you get put in that position, your mindset would definitely shift. And if you tell me it won't, you're crazy. There's no way. Anyway, so that was the Melvin Hill Highway 9 intersection. We kind of worked together on. That was great. I want to move on to a meeting with the county council. So I've been working with our town council about trying to get and manage growth in our area, and working with pass a resolution actually between Inman, Campobello, and Landrum that we're going to collaborate on growth and other issues that may present themselves in the future for our area, for the northern Spartanburg area. And that's a big concern, I think, for a lot of people that live there and have lived in northern Spartanburg County for a long time, like yourself. So I'm meeting with Chairman Lynch of Spartanburg County Council, and so is Mayor Briggs and Mayor Huff. And we want to talk to him about building a relationship. I've never really got to talk to Chairman Lynch, don't really know a whole lot about him. Want to talk, obviously, about development and what that looks like, some smart growth, and collaborate with him, and have an ongoing relationship. Again, may not agree with everything he says, but here's a novel idea. Let's listen to one another and try to figure out what's best for our community. I don't agree with everything Mayor Briggs does. I don't agree with everything Mayor Huff does, but we are collaborating. A little bit of tolerance between each other. Just because you may not agree with something doesn't mean because I'm talking to you that I agree with you.
It's almost like
if you were on it's the Horton and Shamis show. How boring would it be if you had two Shamises on this show?
That'd be real boring.
Be boring. I'm a facts guy. I like
you get 2 episodes and it'd be done.
I would have.
We might make.
I wouldn't even have 2
episodes with me.
I wouldn't even have 2 listeners.
We might make it 3 episodes with me on it, but with you on it, it'd be 2. So
But I mean, Chairman Lynch, we're going to collaborate. We're going to talk. We're going to work through some issues. I'm not the chairman of the county council. I don't know what his woes and things that he has going on at that level. Maybe I need to understand that. And maybe, hopefully, if I understand what he has going on at his level, that he's going to understand maybe what I have going on at the town level, what Mayor Briggs has going on at the city level, what Mayor Huff has going on at Inman. Maybe.
Where does the town of Campobello get its funding?
From the constituents within the town. And we also get some state funds for different grants and different things like that. Yep.
Do you get any funding from the county?
Absolutely.
From the county?
The people who live in the town of Campobello, guess what they pay? County taxes. So yes, 100%.
So it's almost like it might even be more important to be a good negotiator than it is to maybe have a higher knowledge of the Constitution.
I think there's both. I think you definitely need to have knowledge of the Constitution, but I'll give you this example because I always go back to my military roots. So I wasn't always real sure about exactly how much a hydraulic pump would put out on the airplane. Like it puts out 15 gallons per minute. And if it loses 1 gallon per minute, this little valve over here does this. I didn't know about that. Okay. There's this guy in my unit that did. He knew all the statistics. I mean, he could spurt them out, right? Just all these statistics. If they have a problem, they would send him down to the airplane to work on it. In about an hour, I would get a phone call, and they would say, "Get this idiot off this airplane. We need you down here to fix it, because this idiot doesn't know what he's doing. Like he might know everything there is to know, and he was an instructor. Like he taught hydraulics for C-17s, but he didn't know how it worked. He wasn't able to put the common sense part of it in. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I could. And they knew that. I was a problem solver for those kinds of things, right? Novel idea, right? So I think, yeah, you should know about the Constitution, obviously, duh. But you need to use your common sense. It's up here, my dad, biological dad, used to say, "Hey, son, use that something for other than a hat rack." What are y'all doing?
Well,
anyway, what are y'all doing? Come on. Come on.
Well,
but that's kind of the county level kind of things that are going on. I'm excited about that stuff. What do you think about meeting with Chairman Lynch? I mean, what do you think? What do you really think on the record?
I mean, I don't know his background or his political views, or I'm sure. I know I don't agree with everything they do, with everything county council does, but that doesn't mean that if I was an elected official that I would not want to cultivate some kind of a positive relationship with him, so that I could, whatever capacity I was in, I would be better suited to serve my constituents. I probably don't agree with anybody 100% of the time, so I would be doing everything I could to make sure that I did the best to properly represent my constituents. That's the only thing I've got. So I don't know Manning. I don't know his policies. I don't know really any of them. Anybody on county council.
But guess what? If you got a relationship, you can find out.
But you can find out. And hey, you might. Hey, here's a novel idea. Here's something you don't think about. You could sway them to change their view on something. Have you thought about that?
It'd be a good debate.
You might could influence them to be more conservative.
It'd be a good debate.
Wouldn't that? That's something to think about.
I think so. I think so.
Instead of whining and complaining about every person and agent and agency you need to serve your constituents that voted for you, instead of whining and complaining about them, you could develop a relationship to try to influence them or to use them to serve your constituents. So
find some common ground, I think is what you're saying.
That's
common ground.
I don't know. That might be the craziest thing I've ever said. But
well, I mean, we're into this about an hour. We don't want to bore people to death with our 2 listeners. We lost one. But
We might not have 2 listeners.
we have some more things we want to bring up here at the Horton and Shamis show. Just had a great couple weeks, and it's been exciting to see the response. People want to tune into the Horton and Shamis show, and I think they want to see you, really. They don't want to.
I've kept it really PG. I've kept it really, really even keel for this first episode so that I don't run a lot of people off. But we really appreciate the support we've received, the comments, the responses we've received, and we want to make this something that we continue even outside of an election cycle. My goal is to use this as a platform to educate the constituents on how different bills, laws, any kind of legislation, state, local, are introduced, passed, and then implemented.
With a little bit of fun involved, right? A little laughing and having a good time.
But I think some people, some of our elected officials here locally are on Facebook. Some of them are not.
Sure.
And I think going forward, us having this platform to say, we're not just going to come to you every 2 years, every 4 years, ask for your money, ask for you to send a text to somebody to vote. We want to be here. We'll probably do an episode where we just take questions.
I think we're going to have some guests too.
So. And I mean, hopefully, maybe not. Nobody might not come on, but we'd like to have some guests, and we'd like to do question and answer. How does this work? How does this work? Well, to tell you, because some of us get it in some districts, and some of us don't get it in other districts.
Sure.
At different levels of government, some do better than others. So I think it's time to usher in a new era of
information
of politics for this district. This district, the surrounding districts are very educated. They're very passionate about politics, and it's important that both sides of the story are represented and that they have an outlet to at least be informed on some of this stuff. So that's what I want to use this as, is to say, yes, you might have this person over here that doesn't involve you at all in any decision making. They don't care about any of your feedback. And then you might have some person over here might have somebody that's very involved. And so kind of want to merge the two together to say, this is how your politics should look like going forward. That's why, Guffey and Session, I don't want to put any words in their mouth, but that's why they're expanding the Pints and Politics
to the Porch
Caucus.
Porch Caucus Network.
They want to institute different cells all over the state to say, because people don't trust the news. They don't trust federal. Still, state, local news is different, but federally, nobody trusts them anymore. Yeah. I get my political news from memes. So I don't even want to listen to Fox. You've got to be able to discern where you're getting your information from and then draw your own opinion. Nobody's ever going to agree with us all the time.
No, that's for sure.
And, I've got close friends and family that don't agree with everything I say, and I sure would hope they don't. But
I agree. If you like the Horton and Shamis show, we're going to be doing a couple of more shows in the future, and like I said, we're going to mix it up and mash it up and talk about some things. But if you like us, like this on Facebook, share it on YouTube. There's a couple of the different channels we'll be posting out there where this will be posted. But we appreciate all the support. We're so excited about being part of the Porch Caucus Network. I thank you, Horton, for being here and adding some color to this, and I'll try to keep us on level ground. I'll be the boring guy.
Well, I did as good as I could because I'm trying not to run everybody off. But thank you for everybody. Thank you for watching, and thank you for the support. I just want to leave everybody with this. Don't judge us based on our friends. Judge us based on our enemies.
Thank you, guys. Tune in for the next episode. Take care.